full moon shone brightly against the sky. In one small house in the town, an old lady peered out her front window to see if any trick-or-treaters were coming through the old wooden gate that led up the path to her front door. But no one was to be seen, so she went back to her chair next to the fireplace, put her feet up, picked up her hot cup of tea, and warmed her toes next to the crackling fire. As time passed, the old lady became very comfortable, in fact, maybe too comfortable, because she sat there sipping her tea in front of the fire, listening to the sound of the big grandfather's clock ticking away. She began to fall asleep, and just as her eyelids were about to completely shut, she thought she heard someone opening the squeaky wooden door. Her eyes widened, and she listened intently for the giggles and chatter of the trick-or-treaters that she expected were coming up the path. She couldn't wait to pass out her chocolate chip cookies that everyone thought were wonderful in the town. As she put her cup of tea down and began to get up out of her chair, the telephone rang 2 times. She paused for a moment. It rang 2 more times. She reached for the phone and lifted up the receiver. And she lifted up. There you go. And she said, "Hello." There was no one there. "Hello, hello, who's calling, please?" There was no answer, only total silence. And just as the old lady put the receiver down, put it down, she saw a blinding flash of light that tore through her front window and lit up her entire living room. And then it disappeared. All of a sudden, she became a little bit frightened. Her heart began to beat rapidly. Good, you're going to be a doctor, I can tell. All right, the old woman moved ever so slowly toward the front window, stepping very carefully and very quietly. It was then that the flickering light of the fireplace, she saw the shadow on the wall. A shadow of something moving behind her. A frightening shadow that was coming closer. The old lady turned around to face this horrible thing, whatever it was, and she screamed, "Go away!" The thing stopped, and then it squeaked. It turned and scurried through a small hole in the living room wall. It was only the little lady's house mouse that she had named Rocky. That was his first name. His whole name was Rocky Beach. "You stop scaring me like that, Rocky." Here she took a piece of cheese out of her apron pocket, unwrapped it, and put it on the floor next to the hole in the wall. That was Rocky's front door. "Take this piece of cheese and stay in your hole. It's Halloween, and I don't want you to scare the kids when they come to the house." Calming herself down, the old woman stood to the front of the door and ever so cautiously looked out in the front yard. She looked down, she looked right, she looked left, then she looked up, and to her surprise, the full moon was now partially hidden behind some dark clouds. The full moon, covered by the clouds, had now become a Halloween-haunted moon. The old lady shrugged her shoulders and started to go back to her chair when she heard a strange sound coming from her cup of tea that was on the table next to the chair. She went over to the table and looked down into the teacup and said, "Oh my, what in the world?" The water in the teacup was boiling. "What is happening here?" And just as fast as the water had started to boil, it stopped. And her face got all wet. No, I just added that. The old lady quickly sat down in her chair to catch her breath and to await the trick-or-treaters. She was getting very nervous. And as she sat in the chair outside, the wind began to blow through the gently swaying treetops. And then the wind began to blow a little harder. And then all of a sudden, there was a roll of thunder. And the thunder and the rain began. Thunder kept going, the wind kept going. We didn't stop. All right, we got thunder, we got rain, we got wind, we got all 3 going. Okay. All right, the old lady once again got up out of her chair and everything stopped. And it was quiet outside. At least that's what she thought. She returned to her chair. She was disappointed that no trick-or-treaters had come for her cookies. What the old woman did not know was that an alien spaceship from the planet Zera in the galaxy known as Statomania, many light years away, had landed in the woodland behind her house. The crew aboard the Zeran spaceship, named Aloe, had been assigned to investigate what was happening on Halloween. These little earthlings in strange shapes and forms, carrying orange ball-shaped objects with strange faces carved on them, filled with all sorts of sugary foods, were roaming about the land, knocking on doors and asking for more sugary foods. The Zarins wanted to know why was this happening, and the crew of the Aloe was there to find out. You see, on Zara, very few Zarins ate sugary foods. They knew they were not healthy to eat in large amounts, even though they tasted good. The Zarin commander, who went by the name of Klaatu, and his assistant, who was known as Niktu, ordered their crew to the exit door to prepare to leave. As they unlocked the door, the gears clicked. Good. All right. The Zarin commanders then and the crew began to leave the Aloe, and as they went down the ramp that led from the Aloe to the ground of the earth, they began to sing a traditional Zarin song of respect. And now this one's recorded because I wouldn't expect you to sing this song, but here it goes.
Row, 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 rabbit. Row, 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 rabbit. Bebop, bebop, bop, bebop, bop, bop, bebop, bebop, hello.
Hello, so that's the name of their ship.
Bebop, 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 chorus. Bebop, bebop, bop, 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 bebop, 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 hello. Bebop, bebop, bop, bebop, bop, bop.